Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Di, and today I'm sharing with you my diary entry for the week of December 31st through January 6th. Today is Saturday, January 6th. So we're getting back to the weekly diary entries in this wrap-up style format where I just sit down with you at the end of the week. I will say that Vlogmas videos are a lot of work. Just like remembering to film every day, even though I was pretty much only checking in with you to do my advent openings and things like that. It was a lot. Like, I'm not so used to remembering to, bring out my camera and for things, or I don't do a lot of, extra stuff, and I'm sure you saw that throughout Vlogmas, so, yeah. I think if I didn't have the advents to open, I probably wouldn't even consider doing Vlogmas at all, but seeing as I am planning on buying another advent calendar this year, I think you'll probably have Vlogmas from me at the end of the year, if I am able to get my hands on the advent that I am hoping to, because there's always the chance that I'll either miss the announcement and it'll sell out before I get my hands on it, or things like that. But I am planning on purchasing an advent this year, so yeah. I finished my manga advent project this week. In fact, I read the last volume from the project early this morning, so I will be sharing with you all my thoughts on the remaining manga advent calendar selections. I also finished a novel, and then I'm also in the middle of another novel, and then we'll do a little bit of a knitting catch-up at the end. So let's get into it, because there's quite a few titles here that I need to talk to you about. So we'll start off with the novel, and that was How to Win Her Heart on the Nth Try by Ichine Kamijo. This one is published by Yan, rated ages 13 and up. So I was reading this to finish my last prompt for the Phase Out Your TBR readathon that's hosted by Krys's Corner. I needed to finish that first phase so that I can work on phase 2, which is this month. And so I was able to finish this on December 31st. This is a childhood friends to lovers romance, which is unusual for me because, don't read a lot of romance in the novels. But I think because this was a light novel, kind of put it in line with manga. And I do read a lot of romance manga. I just don't read a lot of romance novels. I used to when I was really young, but not so much anymore. But this is featuring adults in their 20s, and they're both in the same field. They've been friends since they were kids, and the guy has harbored feelings for the girl for a long time. And so it just kind of is the evolution of him finally telling her how he feels and finding out how she feels, and her thinking about all of the times that they had growing up together and things like that. And this was a really, really fast read when I actually sat down to read it. The story just flowed really nicely. The writing style was really easy to follow, and I really enjoyed watching this couple grow. I don't know what it was about them. I don't know if it was the writing style, or if it was, how there were scenes with them throughout their life. From the time that they were kids, we see scenes of them in flashbacks of times that they had together and situations that they were in, and, how times in their life, how all of that kind of culminated to where they are now. And I don't know, just how their families got along all of these years too. And it was just a really, really sweet story. And so I ended up giving this one a 4-star. I really, really enjoyed it. And I would definitely read more from this author in the future. Cover art is gorgeous as well. So definitely enjoyed that. Was a great way to end my reads on the last day of the year, because I did read this last. Now, before that, I read Ice Guy and Cool Girl Volume 1. This is from my Manga Advent Calendar project. So this one is by Miyuki Tonogaya, published by Square Enix Manga, rated teen. So this is about the descendant of a snow god? Snow spirit? Snow spirit, that's what it says. It says he's a modern day ice god, so he's got some abilities to like make it snow and turns to ice and things like that. And he works at this company with this lady. This lady is like his cubicle neighbor. And he kind of starts having feelings for her. But he also has this thing where when he gets really nervous, or, you know, when he's like hyper focusing on his work, he starts to like make it snow. It gets really cold in the office and things like that. And so this kind of follows the two of them, you know, in their work life, but also little sweet interactions between the two of them, and her kind of helping him not hyperfixate so much on his work, because obviously when he does, it snows, it gets really cold, and it affects her. She gets really cold, you know, so she kind of helps him to calm down and things like that. And it's just like really, really sweet interactions. I think they are going to eventually get together. But it was really cute. This is a very episodic, it's very much in the vein of storytelling like Mr. Villain's Day Off, where every chapter kind of starts off the same way. It says, apparently my coworker Himura is the descendant of a snow spirit. And then it says when he's excited about something, a blizzard develops in the area, or something to that effect. That's how all of the chapters start. It is really super cute. I enjoyed spending a little bit of time with this couple, or at least these two characters. They're not a couple yet in this one. I do think they will be, but very, very cute, very sweet. I ended up giving this one 4 stars as well. We'll definitely be continuing with that one. And so those were my last 2 reads of the year. I ended off the year on some really great reads, and it was really nice to do that. So now we're starting my year with the rest of my Manga Advent Calendar selections, starting with Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba, Story of Water and Flame, story and art by Ryoji Hirano, original concept by Koyoharu Gotoge, published by Viz, rated teen. So this is manga short stories that feature characters that were in Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba, the manga series. So in this one, we have a story that follows Giyu Tomioka and Kyojuro Rengoku. I believe that's his full name. These are 2 of the Hashira that are in this series. And the stories that are in here are outside of what we were told in the series. So I believe the story that we get with Giyu happens right after the beginning of Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba, where he meets Tanjiro. So this is after that. He goes on a mission. And so we see that story. And then the one with Rengoku, that story happens before he becomes a Hashira, and what happens to get him to the place where he can become a Hashira. And I really, really enjoyed that as well. Both of these characters are ones that I really enjoyed in the series, and it was really, really nice to spend more time in this world with these characters. And I'm really looking forward to seeing if there will be any more of this. I know there's a spin-off series that's the Kimetsu Academy, where it's more of a comedic, kind of chibi-ized version of the characters, and I believe that one's more like, you know, comedic, lots of hijinks and things like that. I think there's like a light novel or 2 that I have, so I'm really looking forward to getting that. And yeah, just really enjoy like this world and these characters, and I really enjoyed this one. So I gave this one 4 stars, I believe. Actually, I think I gave this one 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. And then Volume 1 of YoRHa, Pearl Harbor Descent Record. This is a Nier Automata story. This has original concept by Yoko Taro and art by Megumu Soramichi, published by Square Enix Manga, rated older teen. So this is based or set in the universe of the Nier Automata video game. My understanding from reading some of the reviews is that this event, the Pearl Harbor descent, happens like in the timeline of the game, but you don't get a lot of information on what that is. Like they mention this event, but you don't get details. And so this manga series, I believe, fleshes out that event for the story. And so my daughter has played a little bit of the Nier Automata series. I've watched her play like the beginning portion, and it looks interesting. It looks like it's set in like a post-apocalyptic type of world where like aliens have taken over the earth, and it's kind of like, you know, desolate, and there's lots of debris everywhere, and there's lots of like machines that you fight. And so the character here on the cover is one of the YoRHa. It's a group of female android fighters, and in this series they're sent to Earth to try to reclaim it in the stead of the humans who have created them. And so we follow this character here who's number 2, and her company of female android fighters as they descend onto Pearl Harbor and try to reclaim the Earth. And so, yeah, it was a little bit confusing at times. There's definitely a section of story in here that I didn't enjoy at all. And I don't understand why we even need to have that kind of a storyline in here. It does have to do with sexual abuse and physical abuse. But again, we're talking about androids here. So it was still really weird, though, because they look on page like humans. And so, yeah, you can even see kind of in the art style of this particular character here, looks like a human. I mean, you can't tell the difference on the drawings. They don't have, like, you know, nuts and bolts or anything like that, joints that look robotic. They look humanoid. And so, yeah, I don't know. I'm not quite sure how I feel about this. Like I said, I haven't played the game. I've watched a little bit of it, and this volume was very introductory. It was very much, this is what the world is like, this is what this company of units is for, what they are. We don't get a lot of story until the very end of this volume, and then it was time for the next volume. So I need to read more of this series to really figure out how I feel about this series. I mean, it was interesting, but there was that section of story that I really didn't like or care for, or even know why it's even part of that. So yeah, I ended up giving this one 3 stars. I'll definitely be reading more of this series before I decide whether or not I'm going to continue to read this one. Definitely something my daughter's still interested in, though, because like I said, she has played some of the game. I do believe she intends on playing more of the game at some time. But yeah, it was interesting. But I'll need to read more to figure out how I feel about this series on a whole. So that is that one. The next 2 volumes I read were volumes 1 and 2 of Persona 4 Arena. This one is by Aiya and ATLUS, published by Udon Entertainment, and I would say these are rated older teen. So this is a crossover series with the characters from Persona 3 and Persona 4. As you know, I just finished up Persona 4 at the end of 2023. So it was nice to revisit the characters from that series in this one and see them reunite. The art style is a little bit different because we are dealing with a different mangaka. But in general, they pretty much look the same. I can see the previous characters. It's a little bit more difficult with this one. I didn't right off the bat recognize this character, but I know who it is now. And it is one of the characters from Persona 4. But this character is from Persona 3. And I've only read 2 volumes, I think, of Persona 3. I really want to continue with that one as well. But this one is a story that involves characters from both series. So it's kind of a mystery where this this character, who's actually like a weapon, is stolen. And so the characters from Persona 3 are trying to get that character back. But in the meantime, the characters from Persona 4 see that since our main character from Persona 4, who is in this series called Yu Narukami, which is also the name he goes by in the anime, comes back and reunites with them, the Midnight Channel also comes back alive. And that was kind of the whole thing in Persona 4, was this Midnight Channel in the world inside the television. And it's been inactive since they figured out the mystery and all of that stuff. And in that series, now, as they are reunited, it becomes alive again. And so something's definitely up. And our characters from Persona 4 go in and investigate. And the series from the two characters kind of collide. I believe there's only one more volume in this series. So I really should finish out the series. There is a sequel series, though, called Persona 4 Ultimax, which I will eventually want to read as well. This volume was pretty much just set up for this series. This volume was very much more of the arena style stuff being brought in, which is interesting. I'm not quite sure what's going on with that and how it connects to this. But yeah, very interesting, very entertaining. I don't enjoy it as much as Persona 4, but it was still entertaining. And I think it's partially because I'm not really familiar with these characters from Persona 3. It would be interesting for me to revisit the series after I read Persona 3 and then see how I feel. But as of right now, this is sitting at like a 3.5 for both volumes. But still real entertaining. I'm enjoying seeing our characters from Persona 4 and seeing them reunite and investigate something else. And so, yes, still enjoyable, but not as enjoyable as Persona 4 for me. And then the last two volumes I have read are volumes 4 and 5 of Night of the Ice by Yayoi Ogawa. These are published by Kodansha Rated Older Teens, so this series follows our male figure skater here who is on the track to go to the Olympics. He's doing all of his pre-Olympics qualifying competitions, but in men's figure skating, you have to have quads to be competitive. And he can't seem to land his quads unless his best friend says his favorite magical girl spell to him before he gets on the ice. And so this series kind of follows him on his journey of doing these pre-Olympic qualifying competitions, how he does on them, and how his relationship with his best friend changes throughout this series. It does have romantic elements, but I don't think that's a spoiler. I am really enjoying seeing how he's going through all of these like qualifying events. It's very much like how you would see typical ice skating events on television. Ice skating is definitely one of those sports that I do watch the Olympics for. And you definitely see like all of the competitors too and how they are trying for the same thing, trying to qualify, get the spots for their country to be able to go to the Olympics. So there is that competitive aspect as well. I will say that in these two volumes, that whole trope of, not feeling secure in a relationship comes up, which I don't enjoy. It just kind of brings unnecessary drama for me. There's also, though, something that happens in here that negatively affects our ice skater, which could have been avoided. And I don't understand why it's so baffling that with the event that caused that, why people don't think that that would have been a contributing factor, especially with how the summary of this series is. I mean, it pretty much tells you, right, that he can't land his quads unless this thing happens, and it's just like unnecessary drama. It's unnecessary drama. I would have much rather have the drama come from the competition. There's definitely a little bit of a Yuri on Ice feel with how that competition goes. Because in Yuri on Ice, we do see him also competing against certain people. We get other competitors and how they perform and things like that, what they're doing for their choreography, what songs they're using, and, you know, a little bit of bad mouthing in the background, right? As competitors do. And it's just, I really like that aspect. I like that aspect of this series. I am not enjoying the friends very much at all at the moment. There's a little bit of naivete on the parts of both the ice skating character and his best friend in the whole relationship arena. And yeah, there were just some tropes that came up that I didn't enjoy, but I am looking forward to reading more of the series. I think there's only 4 more volumes, so I should finish this one up this year as well. I'm really, really enjoying seeing him compete, and I'm hoping that by the end or close to the end of this series, he will make the Olympics despite what's going on in these volumes. But we'll see. We will see. And so, yes, I'm enjoying that one so far. I did give both of those 4 stars despite my issues with the tropes that came up, because I do really enjoy all of the ice skating and the competing that's going on right now. So that's everything that I have completed since I talked to you last. So I'm in the middle of one thing right now because Night of the Ice Volume 5 I just finished this morning, so I will definitely be picking something else up probably soon. But I am in the middle of 86. This is a light novel. This is by Asato, illustrated by Shirabi and mechanical design by 1-4. This is published by Yen On, rated ages 16 and up, so that's older teen. So I am listening to parts of this on audiobook because I do have an audiobook copy, but I did read some of the physical copy as well, so I'm kind of combo reading this one. This is a story about a world that has 85 districts. There is an unknown 86th district. And so, obviously, the series is called 86. We're kind of following the people that are in this district, and they are fighters. The world has been fighting the Giadian Empire's army. So it's called the Republic of San Magnolia, and they've been under attack by this Giadian army. And they have said to the world that they've come up with this technology where they can fight this army with unmanned drones. And so that basically means that because the drones are unmanned, there's no casualties. They're able to fight the army without having civilian casualties. The truth of the matter is that these drones, or they're not really drones in the instance that we know drones of. They're actual like mechanical units. They are being piloted by these people from this 86th district. So there are casualties, but it's a big government cover-up. And so we're following this special unit of fighters, and they're led by this guy who's codename Undertaker. And because they're kind of like a fighting unit, they have these handlers, and these handlers are in one of the other districts, and so they're the only people that know of the existence of the 86. And the handlers help them in their battle. Like they're like their central hub kind of helpers. They talk them through strategy. They notify them of activity and, things like that. At the beginning of the series, this girl here, her name is Lena, I think that's how they pronounce it, but her whole name is something else. But in any case, she gets assigned to this squadron as their new handler, and we follow her trying to get to know them. The 86 obviously don't feel great and have prejudices against their handlers because, they're being treated like, they say pigs. They say pigs. They go out and fight the big fight. They lose their lives to keep the country safe, but they're not recognized. So, there's animosity. But Lena is trying to actually do her job, which is something that a lot of the handlers don't do. They don't care because these people basically don't exist. So they don't take the time to research. They don't take the time to get to know these people. They don't take the time to do their job properly. And that's what makes Lena different. She does take the time to do her job properly. She does want to get to know these people. And so it's kind of a fight between her and this squadron, with her trying to convey to them that she's not like the rest of the people that they've dealt with before, but also kind of being schooled because there are certain things that she does that she shouldn't do if she really thought about the 86 as people. And so it's been really interesting to see how this world works. It's kind of, if you're familiar with the old animated series Robotech, it gives me the feel of Robotech because you've got these fighters and you've got like a control panel of people trying to help, where in reality this is only a singular person that's helping them in their fight. But, it kind of gives that same mecha war type feel. But it also is a bit Hunger Games-ish because, in the Hunger Games they have all the districts. And there are certain districts that are, living it up. And then there's other districts that are being sacrificed. And so it kind of gives me that kind of feel. Daughter also said it kind of gave the feel of Scarlet Nexus, which is another kind of war type, fighting type of series. We watched Scarlet Nexus in the anime and enjoyed that one as well, but it kind of gives those same like feels. So yeah, this has been a very interesting and entertaining read. I do enjoy the narrators of the audiobook. There are two narrators. There's a female who narrates Lena, and there's a male that narrates the Undertaker. And so when we're from either points of view, we get the different narrators, and that really helps. I do feel like because I'm not reading along with the audiobook, though, I am missing out on some of the illustrations. So let me just try to show you some of the illustrations. So like I don't get these when I'm listening along. There are illustrations of the units as well, which helps because I don't know, for whatever reason, when I was listening along, it kind of sounded like they were piloting planes, but in actuality, they're piloting these things that are like mechanical, like spiders, kind of units. And so, yeah, it was interesting to flip through the light novel after I've kind of read, and then I read a couple chapters last night before bed. I'm really enjoying this. Daughter and I also watched the first episode of the anime because daughter's also interested in the series, and I enjoyed that as well. So I definitely feel like this is going to be one of those series where I'm going to be like audiobook, light novel, and anime. I'm really enjoying it so far, and so yeah, I will probably finish this one this coming week and have my thoughts for you on Saturday. So yeah. So now that I am done with all of my manga advent calendar projects, I can start my January TBR, which will include my rotating decks selections as well as my phase out your TBR phase 2 selection. So I'm really looking forward to diving into that over the next week. And so that is all of my reading. Let's get into a little bit of knitting. So I've got my Residents of the Haunted Mansion sweater. I did not knit as much this week, I will say. I was experiencing a little bit of pain in my hands, so I took it a little bit easy. But I am finally on the last color, the last resident. So, resident of the Haunted Mansion sweater. I am down here now. So, I did measure this last night. I am at 19 inches right now, with the last resident only 2 rows in. So this is going to be a little longer than my normal sweaters, but I think that's okay. There's enough ease in the body that I think it will be more tunic-like, so it'll be fine. I am not at all upset that this sweater is going to be a little longer, but this is the back. And so I was here. The sweater is so long, it's like hard for me. Now, okay, so I was here the last time I talked to you, which was at the beginning of the pink ski stripe. And so now I have put in 4 residents, and then I'm on the 5th, and this is the last. So I really like this section. I even like this section. It's still really weird for me, this whole like pastel-y section. But, you know, it is what it is. I am really, really enjoying this. Really, really enjoying this. And so, yes. So after I put in my last resident, I'll do the bottom ribbing, and then I will take a little bit of a break from this sweater because, as I mentioned to you last week, I promised my daughter I would cast on a sweater for her. So before I put this one away and talk to you about her sweater, I did start in on a 3rd skein of the Yarn Cafe Creations main color. So this is Gothic Smoke on the biscotti sock. 85% superwash merino and 15% nylon. And so I just started the 3rd skein last night. So I have a feeling that I probably won't need the 4th skein. We'll see. We'll see. But yes, I did also measure, finally, one of my sleeves on a raglan sweater that I've knit. And my sleeve length, including the ribbing, is 17 inches. So that means I'll be doing 15 inches of sleeve before putting in my ribbing, provided the ribbing is 2 inches. I don't know for sure what the pattern actually says for ribbing on the bottom of the sleeve and the sweater, but normally it's about 1.5 to 2 inches. And so if that is the case, I'll be doing 15 inches of sleeve and then 2 inches of ribbing, so that means that I won't be using all of the residents in the sleeve, which is what I thought. And so, yeah, it will be interesting to see how much yarn I have left after putting in the residents on the sleeve, because also as the sleeve goes down, I will be tapering. At least I'm pretty sure that's what the pattern will do. I will be tapering the sleeve. And so I'll be using less and less of the residents as I go down the sleeve. And so I think the residents that I will have up by the sleeve separation will be the least amount of yarn that I'll have left. And then as we go down, I'll have more and more and more. And so, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much I'll have left by the time I put in the sleeves. So Still quite an adventure. Still quite an adventure. The resident I am putting in right now is Mr. Gracie. And so, yeah, it's just like a really, like, plummy black. Really, really nice. And it'll be nice to have a little bit of extra of that one because even though I've kind of sketched out how I would do a sock so that I encompass all of the residents, it might be nice to just use Gracie as the heels, toes, and cuffs color. We will see. We will see. So that is my Residence of the Haunted Mansion sweater, which is the pattern I'm using is the Rainbow Ring by Stephen West. Again, I don't know why more people aren't talking about that pattern because it's the perfect Advent project. Even with a 25 skein project or skein Advent, I think the sweater would still be a great project. It's definitely perfect for the 31, which is what I had. And so, yeah, it's really kind of making me want to use another one of the Advents that I have had from a previous year to make another one. But at the same time, I'm like, do I really put all of my Advents into the Rainbow Ring? I don't know. I mean, obviously with different colors, you'd have a different look. But yeah, it is a really, really good Advent project. It's a good scrappy project too because it doesn't take a lot of yarn for each stripe. The most yarn you'll need is the one for the mane. And so, yeah, if you've got some scraps, it's a great project to use for scraps too, I think. So, yeah. In any case, I did pull out the yarn for my daughter's sweater. Again, this is yarn that I've had in stash for a while, set aside for her. And so I did finally pull it out and put it into a project bag. And so the project bag that I'm using is this gorgeous Nutcracker project bag from Stitching the High Notes. This was one that she offered this past Christmas time. And I usually try to buy a bag from her every year. And so I think the first year I bought the Christmas ornaments bag. And then the year after that I did the jack-o'-lanterns, which houses my Mostly Ghostly sweater that I should get back to soon. And then I have this one. So I decided to go ahead and put her yarn into this bag. This is the Stitching the High Notes sweater bag, which I love her sweater bags. And all 3 bags I have from her, Joanna, is the sweater bag. So the yarn I have is this Wonder Fluff Bulky from Knit Picks. This is in Welly's Heather. It's 142 yards and 50 grams. This is 70% baby alpaca, 23% nylon, and 7% merino wool. And this is a bulky weight. So it's kind of got like a dark charcoal sheen to it. Really, really nice. Really soft. Really fuzzy. And I thought this would make a really, really nice sweater. And so, the pattern that I had chosen when I bought this yarn for her, it's a pretty simple looking plain sweater, and it is the Pure Fuzz by Skein Deer. I have not knit up any Skein Deer patterns, but I do have a few. This particular pattern is free if you sign up for her newsletter. So when she first put out her newsletter, she had offered this pattern as a perk for doing that. And so I did get this as a free perk for signing up for her newsletter. I'm pretty sure she just mentioned on a recent podcast that is still the deal, that if you sign up for her newsletter that you get the Pure Fuzz as the perk. But yeah, it looks like a pretty simple, plain sweater. It is cropped, and so I will not be making it cropped. Daughter does not like cropped sweaters. However, I did buy extra yarn in order to lengthen the body. That being said, I don't know how long one extra skein is going to help. So this particular pattern, it's an oversized plain like pullover, right? So I believe the first size 1, is a 40-inch bust, which would basically give my daughter over 15 inches of ease, which she doesn't mind because she likes oversized. She likes to be able to layer stuff under. And so, yeah, a lot of the sweatshirts that she wears right now are 40-inch busts. So she likes that kind of fit. Really oversized, really like baggy. And so I think this would look really nice. And I think this will also be something that, even though it's oversized, she'll still be able to get a lot of use out of it. It'll be a little bit of an elevated look because we've got some really nice yarn. And it'll be nice and cozy and warm also because of the alpaca content in this. And so, yeah, that's what I got. I believe the pattern calls for you to like use plain like yarn with like a fuzzy yarn to get the weight that's used for the pattern, but it also says you can use an Aran or bulky single strand, and so that's what I'm deciding to do. I did buy some of this for myself also in like a burgundy color so that I could do a pure fuzz for myself also, but I haven't obviously knit it yet. But daughter's one will be first. And so, yeah, after I bind off my Residence of the Haunted Mansion sweater, I will be swatching and casting on for the pure fuzz for her. So, yeah, really looking forward to it. This yarn, just touching it, is really, really nice and fuzzy and soft. Feels like there's a lot of air in it, and it feels like it's going to be a pretty lightweight sweater, but it will still be nice and warm. And so, yes, looking forward to getting that one on the needles. And I think that's pretty much all I have for this week's update. So I do think there are going to be a few changes to the channel, and since you watching this are probably more interested in those types of updates, I'll really fast tell you what things to expect over the next few months at least, as I figure out what I'm going to be doing with this channel. So you're definitely going to be still getting my weekly Disis19 Diary updates where I talk to you about what I've read, catch you up on my knitting projects, and just talk about other life updates and things like that. Catch you up with what's going on in my life and things. You'll still be getting a weekly wax wrap up where I talk about what I have melted in my home as far as home fragrance goes. And as far as other videos, the Monochrome Manga Club video, series first impressions video for the Monochrome Manga Club selections, I do intend on still continuing to do monthly after our Manga Club meeting. Daughter and I are talking about doing another different manga project, a Monochrome Manga Club related project, so keep an eye out for that. First episode of that will be coming out sometime at the end of this month. So that's something that I have in the works. I'm also going to be like exploring genres and things because I do feel like I've lost my kind of tastes. I don't know what my reading tastes are anymore. And so I'm going to be doing a lot of explorational reading. Different genres, seeing if I actually like certain things that I thought I didn't. You know, I'm sure my reading tastes have changed. I just don't know where they lie at the moment. So I'm going to be doing a lot of exploration on that. I don't know that I'm going to be making that an actual like series on my channel, but you'll definitely be hearing about different types of things that I'm reading in the Disis19 Diaries. And I will no longer be doing end of month reading wrap-ups or end of month reading reflections videos or end of month wax reflection videos. I do feel like those videos are repetitive of stuff that I had already previously talked about, and taking the time to do that as opposed to coming out with something else I think is unnecessary. So I'm going to be doing away with those. I do intend on still doing stats videos, like maybe quarterly, as far as reading goes, but not as far as wax goes. I feel like I talk about all of the stuff that I melt on a weekly basis, and you see in those videos what I have emptied out during the week. And so there's no real need for me to repeat myself on a monthly basis. So that'll take time away from that in order for me to maybe do a new project for the channel, or a new type of video for the channel in the future. So definitely going to be trying a few things out here and there. But yeah, not too much is going to change. Not too much at all. In fact, if anything, there'll be additions. And so I hope that you'll look forward to those additions, and I thank you again for spending a little bit of time with me. Let me know down in the comments below how you started your year. What reads did you start your year with? Are you off to a good or a bad start? I would love to know. And if nothing else, and you'd just like to let me know that you were here, if you could leave me a blue heart emoji down in the comments below, that would be greatly appreciated and would really help me out. And that will do it for me today. So I hope you're all doing great. I hope you're all safe and healthy. And until next time, take care and smile always. Bye.